What's up, everybody? Class number 11. We're getting really close to the end now, like super close. It's going to be amazing. I'm here back in the amazing office studio. Got some new artwork on the wall. It's my buddy Mark. He's a great artist, and yeah, I've always loved this stuff. So I've donned it to the wall, and you guys get to check it out. Yeah, tonight's going to be really exciting. We're going to be looking at your final iTunes album cover designs, which I already took a look at, and they look really good. We're going to jump in. We're going to sort of do a review live. We're going to talk about the mechanics. How have you sort of put things together? Is there a good layout? Is there a grid? How does your type and image come together? And then we'll talk about other things, sort of the feeling, the choice of type that you made. How you overall, right? We're sort of seeing the overall picture now, that how you're achieving unity, right? That's the thing that designers really go for, is that we take all this stuff like type and image and these concepts and things, and we bring it together in an effort to really achieve unity, right? A whole. So yeah, we'll take a look, and then we're going to get into some more greater details about the final project. So I thought first thing is, why don't we take a look again really quick at the calendar so we can see what it is that we got going on. Woo! Okay, for the time that is coming. Okay, so here is from last time, right? We got August here, 2015, blam blam, and yeah, so here's today, right? So we see, like we had said last time, was that our iTunes album cover design was due, so that we wanted to have those things posted, and that we would do a little bit of a demo of the minimalist movie poster. Now, what's great is this video is going to mostly be a review and talking a little bit more about the final project and ideation, but I've already prepared a minimalist movie poster video. So it's a great demo, sort of going through what it is, all that we got going on. But I'll sort of give you a little taste, and then that video will be there to substantiate what y'all need to get this done. Okay. So this is our last week of official classes. All right. So we see here that on Friday the 31st, classes will officially end. Yay. Okay. And then next week is actually finals week. So what you guys need to do is you're going to have a soft turn-in next Tuesday night, okay, on the 4th. So yeah, that'll be really fun, and then I'll review them just like I'm going to review tonight your iTunes album covers, which will be a lot of fun. And then you guys will have from Tuesday, right, from when we broadcast, you'll have boom, 1, 2, and then 3 nights to work on, as well as 3 days, to get your final turn-in of the poster, okay? And I believe I know this says 9 a.m., it's just because it's the sort of calendar default, but I believe we said 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. would be okay for turn-in on that final project poster. Don't go crazy. It's a tight deadline. It's not meant to be impossible, but I think having the whole day so that we can enjoy the weekend is really ideal. And then last thing here is the following Monday on the 10th, August 10th. That's when my grades are due. So I'll have graded your final posters, and then everything else I'll have, of course, if you owe me stuff, please get it in, right? Don't not turn it in. Yeah, and then like we said, the final project is 40% of your grades. So it's really like, show us what you're working with kind of project. You gotta really show us all the skills, like put them in and make sure that you're achieving unity, right? That's really the purpose of this class, is that we reach this point, that you guys can be sort of given something and in a week turn it around, right? That's the nature of the design business, and we want to get you guys prepared for that world. So yeah, so this is the calendar thus far. Right, tonight is going to be a good one, and then you guys really have till next week. It'll just sort of be like a normal week, but you'll have another project due, and then on the 10th, yeah, we'll have all the grades set up and everything. So yay, very exciting. All right, so yeah, so just get these dates. The 28th, right? Obviously tonight, Friday classes end. That's not so important for you. You have the weekend to work. You will then turn in soft turn in of your poster. But it's got to be done, right? You got to have type and all the sort of information plugged in, not like, oh, here's where I'm at. Like, really, I want to be able to give you feedback so that way you can, make tweaks and changes and updates and then turn that in. Okay, so push it as far as it can go. Okay, like really just give this thing like a good and that way you'll get the most out of the critique. Cool, cool. Okay, so let's head back now. Let's head over to my courses. All right, and then we'll yep, this is this week, and we're gonna scroll down here, and wow, look at all the great stuff we've done, and we're gonna go all the way to this week where we're going to check out your posters. Okay, so here we got upload your final CD. Okay, cool. Looks like somebody's uploaded. Most of you guys have uploaded, which has been fantastic. Of course, right? We since probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we've set really a midday or noon timeline, so that way I can record this and have everybody's stuff. But I know not everybody's done that, so not everybody's gotten a video review. So that's what it takes, right? If you want to be able to have that happen, then you need to be able to get your stuff in ahead of time. Okay, so right on. Here we go. This is making it count here. All right, so let's scroll all the way to the bottom. Yeah, sorry, I'm messing with you guys a little bit. All right, we'll start at the bottom. All right, and we've got Abigail. Abigail is first. Way to go, Abigail. You posted first. Fantastic. Okay, so here we've got final album cover is Cheerleader by OMI or OMI. Cool. Okay, fantastic. All right, so overall, right, I don't have context for this. So overall, right, I'm seeing a lot of electric colors, right, like super hyper neon colors. Some strong fashion going on here, some beach attire, and a lady who's in a position giving us a very much sort of fashion fierce look. So we can assume that this is either a song about a lady, right, or perhaps the group is ladies themselves. So this is not the sort of typical cheerleader that you think of, right, when you hear that phrase, right? There's no pigtails and pom-poms here. This lady is a cheerleader of a different kind. All right, so overall, I like what you've done here with this sort of the photo cropping. So the fact that she sort of cut off and then repeats is kind of interesting. It's not what you expect, right? She's not dead center. She's not sort of like in this location. That's just, I like that there's this sort of repeat pattern. Yeah, I can assume that is the identical photo. I'm comparing left to right to see. I can't see her face, so I'm not 100% sure. All right, let's talk about your type, though. I'm going to zoom out a little bit here so we can see overall. All right, so your type is strong, right? So you had this very strong image, and you did have some negative space to play with, but you sort of did this a little bit of a crowding, right, where you have type right next to sort of the key points of the image. Now, the one thing we got to know is that whenever we have people in our images, people are going to look at, people are going to look at faces first. We are drawn to faces psychologically. It's sort of the face effect, right? That when we when we look at pictures of things, websites, billboards and stuff, our eyes go towards the people because we're really looking for sort of emotional information from the people that we're looking at. So from this lady, right, she's communicating emotional information, right? She's fierce, she's fabulous, she's got like a G-Shock watch on. I don't even know if they still make those, but that's cool, right? And she's very fashion forward. All right. So overall, I think that the harmony is here. I would not have gone so strong with the type, right? And you definitely have some crashing here. We can read it, right? It's borderline. So I think that's still cool. This is very loud, right? Like one thing I would suggest is the OMI or OMI, I would shrink it down and actually sort of fit it like a little bit smaller, like right in this space right here. I think that would be super cool. It would be a nice way to sort of create a little more variety than what we have going on, because we've got very loud type that's crowded and then has crashing. So those are sort of three things that are like right? So it's like maybe we can do two ahs and then sort of shrink this one, and then it's like right? It creates a little bit of variety in that space in an interesting way. Cool. And what's really nice too is your type's black, but you left it a little transparent, so I can actually see through the image. Yeah, I would say to you, like, maybe go a little bit more transparent too and see, because you could pick up some parts of the image underneath, which could be really fun. So I think that's really cool. I like that you sort of did this really fun blending. I think like areas like this down here by her leg and up by her face, where we really get that sort of interplay, is probably the most exciting part of this. But yeah, I like the color. I like her skin tone against the very sort of neon green. I think that's very interesting. So yay, Abigail, nice work. So I think, the suggestion I gave of the type creating a little more hierarchy would be interesting. I'm okay with this, but I would shrink cheerleader down just a little bit and get it to sort of fit in the space a little bit. It just holds, like when there's space around type, it just reads better. It just sort of works a little bit stronger. So those are just suggestions. But cool. I think all in all, you've got a successful piece here. Yeah, with a couple tweaks, it'll be really perfect. So yay, good job, Abigail. And thank you for posting first. Wonderful. Okay, next we have, this is Jamie, I think, right? Yep, it's Jamie, right? Because she had the Pixies. All right, here we go. So let's see, back cover. Oh, the band is Pixies and the song is Gigantic. Fantastic. All right, cool. So we had this very rad Photoshop composition before, right? We had that sort of under the pier image and then this sky. A lot of great color going on in this space. And a lot of sort of negative play, which I think is really interesting. All right, so I really love the way you set up Pixies in here. I would even a little smaller in the type, just to give a little more of that sky space around it. I think you've got minor crashing here, but it's so minimal, it's not even, And then you've got here where you're playing with a marquee type where you sort of go gigantic, right? Where you sort of played with the ick there. Yeah, I'm wondering, is that a key to the song, or is you just having fun? That could be a very interesting sort of treatment. It's not common to see this, so it'll be attractive, right? Now, what you want to do is make sure that, like, it doesn't appear to be like a mistake or just sort of like a silly attempt at some sort of effect. So you just want to make sure that this is connected to something so that it has a higher purpose. And then I think then that interplay will work really well, right? You don't want to just do effects for the sake of effects. You want to do effects that are smart, right? That make connections to things. So I think all in all, I like your typeface even, right? It's like a sort of a rustic feel. It's gosh, I'm trying to think what it is. I know it has like ancient Greek influence on it. I can't remember what the typeface is called. But cool. Good for you. I like the feel of it. There's definitely a cool sort of trifecta thing going on here. One thing that could be interesting is this is kind of a dull area of the record. I wonder, like, could Gigantic work well here as well? I'm not sure. But, what you want to do is make the eye move around here. So I wonder if you don't want to put type there, could some imagery go into space, like an object or sort of a singular thing that's in bright color that can really sort of pop out of that location. So. Cool. Nice work, Jamie. Absolutely. Right. We didn't get a chance to review Abigail's imagery last time, so that was the first time we've seen that form. But yeah, Jamie, we got to check this out last time. So I think, yeah, it was sort of exactly as I imagined, right? With the few tweaks, I think would make this really solid. So yay. Good job, Jamie. Okay. Next, we've got Kelly. All right. Kelly, looks like you should when you output, size up your piece a little bit. I know this is like the iTunes size, but yeah, you want to, when you do save for web and devices or save for web, change where it says scale. It should say like 100%, 100%. Changes, I think we did 400%. That's why everybody's images are really big. But I think we'll be fine. We can see this in the space. So cool, right? I know last time you had put, so we got, let's see, Party in the USA, right? Obviously Miley Cyrus. Party in the USA is a pop song about adapting to change. It's about a girl who assumes she won't fit in a new place and starts to become homesick. But as soon as she hears lyrics to her favorite song, she feels at home and at ease again. She realizes she's not the only one. Okay, like Jay-Z, all right, fit in, catch pop tune. Okay, all right. This is more about the song, right? I was wondering if this was going to be more of an aesthetic statement. It isn't really. So yeah, I think, you've explained last time what you're going for. All right, so I like this, that like you've got this sort of very Americana feel, right? This isn't like, party in Los Angeles or New York or in any city, right? It's like party at the fish camp or on the riverside, mountains, right? You got all these different sort of feels of real Americana going on with the fun Chuck Taylor sneakers, right? So I think that's really cool. I even like this sort of sense of like dreaming, right? It's like almost like this is rustic America, but you're sort of dreaming of Hollywood. So I think that's pretty fresh. Cool. So I like what you did here with the Miley Cyrus. That's sort of classic look. The you know, the type in the containers. That's kind of fun. I like. It could be like an old country or old Americana. I think that sort of fits in well with the imagery that you got going on. So the one thing though is your party in the USA. I wonder if the treatment of that could be a little more exciting. Because there's like so much fun stuff going on here. I wonder, like, could that type like be on an angle, or you know, could it be really huge, right? Like we in the demo last time, my Kajagoogoo, right, that sort of band nobody's ever heard of except for me, I made the type really big. I wonder if you could do like party in the USA, right, sort of on top of all this, because the imagery is cool, but like it's not, there's not stuff in there that we have to see, right? We sort of can get what we're looking at from parts of the image. So my suggestion would be is maybe you want to do this type a little bigger, right? So that it sort of sits, like we know it's Miley Cyrus, but the song is like loud, right, and proud. So I think that would work in a really interesting way. And then one thing is the Hollywood is because like it's really sort of has a good contrast against its background. It as typography is sort of joining the rest of the words on your record. So what I would say is like try to tone that down or like blend it out a little bit so it's a little bit faded. So that way it's not so prominent, right? If we see it in the background and we're like, oh, cool, dreaming of Hollywood. All right. Like that's awesome. And I think that would work well. But what I would suggest is, you know, just toning that down. And then I would go big with party in the USA. I think that would be so cool. So good. Yay. Good job, Kel. Okay, next we've got Theo. Okay, Theo, same deal. You want to try and increase the size of these on the output. Save for web. Go to it should say image size, and then set the dimensions to 400 by 400%. Okay, and then you'll have a nice big image. So cool. All right, yeah, nice. So I like now that you've sort of put like the real image of the milk, but I like now that you've also added the blur, so it looks like it's tipping, right? And then the water is sort of flowing out of it. So cool. Let's see. Never be the same. Built to spill. Nice. And I like your container. So this has sort of got a feel of like a now that you've done it this way, like a national parks poster, or it has a little bit of an ad feel to it. I think as you brought this the container all the way to the corner, it just mildly feels that way. I wonder. All right. One little thing that could be really cool is I think as you get better at Photoshop is like try to paint in here the water. So it looks like it's sort of really flowing out of the milk. Right now, there's definitely a clear break between the milk glass and this part. So it doesn't feel like it's like, oh, that's actually spilling out the milk, right? Or the white water in that case. So I think that would be something that I would work with. And one tiny suggestion is maybe just, Theo, just bring the container like off from the edge just slightly. Try that out, right? Also, you could use this area a little bit more and stack up the type a little bit so you can be like, never be the same, right? Never be on one line, the same the next line, and then built to spill. And you can make a really nice sort of scaled justification, right? That sort of stacks those elements up in a really nice way, and that could work really great. But good color. I think you really cleaned up your imagery in a great way. And I think there's a good sort of fun tongue-in-cheek feel here. It's definitely a visual pun, you know, good joke going on. So cool. Definitely coming together, Theo. Very nicely. Awesome. Yay. All right, next we've got You and I by the Local Natives. Cool. All right, this is Anna. All right, so this is yep, You and I by the Local Natives. I got to do it in the voice, I guess. All right, let's take a look here. Wow, all right, so straight away, beautiful color. I really like this sort of just a monochromatic reds going across all of this. I think this sets a really nice tone. Definitely takes advantage of the sunset feel that you got going on. I think that's really cool. And wow, I really dig your typeface. I like the sort of the inside spaces of letters that are like contained, like the circle and an O and the triangle and an A and that sort of stuff. Those are called counters. And yeah, this font seems to not have counters. So either you punched them out yourself or you found this typeface. I think this works really well. A lot of fun. So okay, so one thing is there's not much going on at the bottom here. In fact, that's kind of a dead area a little bit. So like, all right, one suggestion is you could put some type down here, or you could, you know, try this. This is really subtle, and you won't have to move type. Is get some stars, right, and just put some stars in that same red tone, but sprinkle them all along the bottom. I think that would add little bursts of color down there, and I think it would sort of create a little bit of a balance. Because there's so much going on up here that I rarely am looking down here. I'm forcing my eye to look down there just because like we're staring into the sun, and then we're also staring at type, and this very much in love couple. Beautiful though. I think you've really got a lot of nice things going on here. Good typeface choice. I think that's sort of a lot of fun. It sort of has that sort of amateur stencil look, right? Like when you can't cut the insides out kind of deal. So cool. Overall, Anna, I think this is really solid. But yeah, I think this bottom area, I would just play a little bit down there just to sort of see, what you can make happen. But good things are really merging this image together, like the birds and the tree and this fern. They sort of really pull in areas and just lock it together. So that harmony is really there. And you got great alignment on your type. And yeah, this is just a lot of fun. I like the hierarchy between the band and the song. That's pretty cool. Awesome. Yay. Good job, Anna. Fantastic. Okay, next we have Mr. Alejandro. All right, beautiful. So we've got, 30 Seconds to Mars, Closer to the Edge. Nice. Okay, so all the things that we discussed, it looks like you really got a nice balance between the imagery and that symbol, right? We really wanted to try and really be as original as possible with that symbol, and I think you've really achieved that. So fantastic. Little rough edge here, right? You'll get better at this. You'll start to learn really how to cut these things out in a perfect way. Unless you're going for the hand-drawn look, I don't think so. It appears to be more graphical, which is why I'm saying. But this is really cool. I like the blend of the sort of daytime and dawn sky with the, you've got a very sort of interesting dynamic landscape going on here with 2-point perspective. So a lot of fun. Very cool. So I really like what you've done with the type as far as sort of creating this sort of color play going on in there, where you've got because it looks like 30 to the edge and seconds to Mars closer, right? It almost creates this sort of new combination or new association because of the color of the typeface, which I think is a lot of fun. And I think that the typeface you chose is really good. It's really subtle. You've got a nice amount of space around the edge so we can read it, right? The record name. I'd say you could probably nudge in like 10 more pixels to the left, 10 more pixels up, and it would just be so perfect in that location. And the same here. I think just making sure that those are balanced, but a little more sort of brought in. Now you do have a little bit of a low contrast here with the seconds, but not enough to feel like, oh my gosh. But I wonder if you did bring this down 10 and to the right 10, could you push the seconds a little bit more into a brighter area, which might help overall. But cool. I think this is really solid. That symbol you have in the center really locks the collage together in a really solid way. Very cool. Good job, Alejandro. Yeah, good color. Things are merging really well. It's a lot of good feeling in here. So fantastic. All right. Okay, next. Whoa. Let's see. Is this Savannah? Yes, it is, right? Because you chose Tay Tay. Awesome. Bad Blood by Taylor Swift. Wow. All right. You got some real blood in there. Okay, so cool. So this is a bit of a classic feel to it. It kind of feels like some 70s sort of arena rock a little bit, which I kind of like, which is a real different look for Taylor Swift. All right, so one thing is you don't have to ever say it's by Taylor Swift, right? Taylor Swift, right? I think we'll see this and know in context like what this really is. So, all right, so we've got these gloves, which are sort of very sporty looking boxing gloves, right? They're brand new. So this must be like a very sort of controlled stress relief. But then you've got blood all over the place, right? In massacre sort of Dexter style going on in the back, like almost American Psycho with the chainsaw style. Dang. So, all right, so you got a lot of emotion in here. All right, so here's the deal, right? If you want to, when you use this much blood, and then the font's kind of like a little fun, it's a little bit sort of groovy, and then you've got these very sort of high-res, sporty-looking, brand-new boxing gloves. This doesn't take on a serious tone, and that could be very much true. Again, I don't know the point of the song, or I might have to listen to it to truly know. But you know, if that's going to be the way you roll, then I would totally own it. You know, like I would put like a tooth on the floor. You know, like I would really like make it like yeah, hardcore. And then this type, man, it'd be really cool if you just took this whole block of copy and then rotated it like maybe 12 degrees to the left. And then if you could tuck blood like up underneath in here into the bad, that would be so awesome. That like it would really make like when you have script type like this, when it does a nice sort of lockup, it's just, there's nothing like it. I mean, you sort of get into the realm of like logo territory, which is really cool. All right, so I would rotate it because it's italic. To the left, right, 12 degrees or so, and then I would tuck blood up underneath here. Let's drop the by and just keep Taylor Swift, and then also let's lock Taylor Swift up into something, or maybe let's put her down here in the blood. I don't know, but or right. So if you wanted to go with the darker side, you know, keep the background, but your boxing gloves. Like I would go out and find like photos of the dingiest, dark, most used, busted up, like punched 95 people in the face kind of boxing glove, and I think then you'll have that darker tone that perhaps you're looking for. So you have the two choices, right, as to sort of how you can go with this. So, you know, just be thoughtful and you know, and try it. But yeah, I think those suggestions would make this come together really nicely. So very good, very good. Nice, Savannah. Appreciate you. You did well on this. Thank you for sort of playing with some of the suggestions from last time. So it definitely pays off. Cool. All right, next we've got Mary. Hey, Mary has Leighton Meester with heartstrings. Interesting. Okay, so I think this is some newer imagery that we didn't get to review last time. I don't think because this isn't something I'm recalling straight away. But I like the sort of blend of the lady, which she appears to be smoking of some sort, like maybe like a French inhale. If you know what that is, awesome, right? But I like the sort of feel of the speed and whatnot going on. It almost sort of feels like a memory, like I'm remembering something. Right? We tend to see like memories and dreams and fantasies sometimes in like complex or like, you know, fast-moving objects, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, like abstraction. So seeing this train in a blurry state is a bit of an abstraction, which is kind of cool. Cool. I like your combination of typefaces. You got this sort of very bold calligraphy script, right, with the thin thick, which is really nice. And then you have more of an italicized serif typeface, which is a little more classical and formal. I like this combination of two. This is not uncommon to see, which I think gives this, you know, a little bit more of an elegant feel, right? This could be like maybe some chill out house, or it could be some like, you know, epic kind of pop soul type thing. You know, I'm not totally sure. But one thing is you have type running off the edge of the page. Now that's okay to do, but you got to do it in a way that like it sort of really goes for it, because this one just appears to like, oh, just a couple taps over to the left and it will be or to the right and it'll be perfect. So if you're going to do type off the side of the screen, like push this off a little bit more. Like it should come up to like say right here, and that's like a fun way to do some abstraction. You know, if it metaphorically sort of makes sense. But I think you could probably just bring this over to the right a little bit, a couple of taps. And, you know, this little sort of uptick on the S here would be a very nice continuation of line with her eyelashes pointing down. So perhaps maybe you want to try and work that out. Or the smoking part of the photo is quite interesting. You could bring all this information down and have it sort of run in line with the smoking, because he's also looking down. So like this is really sort of where that stuff lives. But you know, I think you got a lot of the right elements going on here. I think just playing around with the layout slightly, and you got it. And I think it's going to lock together really nicely. So nice, very good, Mary. Appreciate you. This worked out really well. Great sort of lockup there of these different typefaces. I think that's a lot of fun. All right, next we have Delia, and Delia has Florence and the Machine. And she's got Dog Days Are Over, right, with this really groovy kind of image of the sky and the liquid kind of stuff going on, the flowers. Right, we really dug that. Had a lot of great color going on. So cool. So I'm glad that you sort of now have brought color from either side of the image and then used it in the opposite color field area. Fantastic. Yay. So that worked out really well. Now, the one thing that I would say is your combination of typefaces. Okay, so on a purely aesthetic level, they're both very bold, right? So here's the deal, right? on another level, you've chosen different styles of typeface, right? So this is it's probably Rockwell, right? The bold version of Rockwell. Now, what I would say is you should probably try and kern this a little tighter if you could. And it is incredibly bold, so you could go a little bit smaller in space, and that wouldn't hurt you too much. But I think overall, yeah, kerning is the issue. You got to tighten up some letters. I think that's going to really make that work well. Now, this typeface could be Bauhaus 93, or it could be something called Universe or Universal, which is this is actually a Bauhaus font. Bauhaus was a design movement in between World War I and World War II in Bohemian Germany. That was a typeface that they created. So whenever I see that, it's like, because I know what it is, it kind of go, you know, it's like it makes that connection. So what I would say is these typefaces don't really have a lot in common stylistically, right, as well as sort of historically. However, they are both bold. So what I would say is, like, try to eliminate those other variables and just go for one face that perhaps is the same. Like, I would use the Rockwell here, and it just can be smaller and orange. I think it would work out really well. But, you know, it's that kerning that I think you should just be working on. One of the suggestions I think too is leading. I would lead this a little tighter. The good thing about slab serif fonts, fonts that have these big, thick sort of squares as the feet, is that, like, they stack up really nice together. So if I bring the machine up, right, if I selected an Illustrator and then go tap, tap, tap up with the Option or Alt key, I can lead those really tight. And then that would look great. I think that would just lock it really nice and tight together. So cool. So good imagery as a base. And I think then just, you know, addressing the fonts are really where it's at. But very cool. Good job, Delia. Yeah, good choice of song too. It's actually one that I know, so yay. Fantastic. Okay, next we have Paula, who has, right, AWOL Nation, I Am, right, with that really groovy kind of spooky image of that lady, right? Right, where you sort of blurred her and put her into that background. All right, so I really like this, that we're sort of looking up. I think you did really well here with choosing where the type can go. I think it's a good balance. I was originally thinking, oh, it would look good here, right, the I am perhaps. But I really like the way it sort of counterbalances the lady, right? It's like, and the way you put I am, it's like inside her head. So I think that, like, really works well. Okay, cool color. I'm definitely like doink, 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 like looking down at this, the red lipstick. I think you got a lot of good stuff going on here geometrically. You got a good sense, good sort of sensitivity to architecture, which I think really sort of lends to this stylistically. I'm assuming, let's see if you say in here, contemporary. Yeah, I wonder, is AWOL Nation perhaps electronica? If it is, then I think the architecture photo works so well with it because it's futuristic feeling and, you know, sort of digital-like because it's got pattern with repetition. And I just, most of all, I love your simplistic typeface choice. I believe it is Helvetica. I'm not totally sure, though. That W is throwing me off a little bit. There aren't letters in there that sort of are really telling me that it's Helvetica, so I can't be 100% sure. But cool. I think this is really solid, really simple, and just, I think, to the point. One tiny suggestion is, I know you're grammatically correct here, but I wonder, could you do lowercase I, right? I am, like, sort of a little more informal. That could just give a whole different feel through letter form. That could be really fun. So, yay, fantastic. Wow, guys, really solid stuff. Let's do a quick refresh here. All right, let's see if we've got any. Nope, okay. All right, so we've got, all right, up to Paula. So, yay, fantastic, guys. These are, all right, good. I'm really just, you know, I'm impressed because, you know, sometimes these are hit or miss, but you guys, seriously, thank you. You listen really well. I know we don't get to meet face to face, but, you know, doing the video critique, I think sort of hearing, going through it live, and then getting feedback from everybody else on the forums, which has been great. You guys have been really getting good at commenting. I know we're starting to wind down. Comments are getting a little sort of on the thin side and a little light, but with this project and with the last, give it the go, right? Like, really go in there, really tell people what they need to hear, right? Like, even if it's a little tiny thing, right? We can see in design that, like, sometimes the smallest element can set off everything else or completely reframe the message, right? So we were talking before about that AWOL Nation, changing I from capital to lowercase, like we said, it just completely sort of changes the overall feeling of personality, right? It's like it's casual versus formal, right? So it's like when you do something like that, you're making a fundamental change in your image. So it's important to be thinking about details, right? So I think we were really good at big picture, and we're sort of getting now down into details. So don't go crazy, but don't overlook the details as well. Okay. So a couple of suggestions that I gave you guys, right? Like that means, folks, is like don't let this thing sit. Like work on that, right? This can be a portfolio piece for you. Eventually, when you guys take interactive and web design, one of the projects in that class is to make your online portfolio, your website, right? So you guys have been to my website, Mike Worth Art, and you've seen how I present my stuff. I've even changed it, in fact, which has been fun in the beginning of the summer. But you're going to need work to put on that website, because part of the project is you need at least 20 pieces of artwork. So, right, so you don't have to scramble. Do the changes that we said, and then give yourself the muscle memory, right? So go through the process saying, okay, I'm going to make this last change. I know it's going to make my work perfect. I know we've handed in the work already, but be a soul surfer, guys, right? Don't go out there and shred, go out there and ride, okay? Ride for you, ride for your soul. Do design for you, right? Make sure that you finish, right? That you sort of push the thing over the line, right? It's that last rep in workout, right? It's that last quarter mile, that sprint, that you give it your all. So do that. That's important, okay? All right. Let's now head over to my courses, talk a little bit about the project. I'm going to sort of show you guys the minimalist movie poster piece, and sort of talk through some of the things that we got going on here, and help us get set up for what's to be the final project. All right, so I'm back here in my courses. Okay, scrolling down. All right, we'll just make sure we have all of the information that we need to get what we need to done. Okay, so here is the final project, minimalist movie poster. Okay, you like looking at me because I'm going to switch over now. I need a production crew. I need it. Okay, here we go. All right, so we're here we are, right? Final project, minimalist movie poster. So as we said, our soft turn-in is going to be August 4th, which is next Tuesday. Okay, so what a soft turn-in means is that the poster needs to be done. Okay, so get all the elements in there. Don't skip. Really choose the stuff you're going to do. Give me your best shot so I can give you a proper critique. Okay, and I'm going to send it back to you, and then I'll give you. We'll do it via video. So everybody, please make sure. Let's make sure that this is here. All right. So by next Tuesday, please. Okay. Soft turn-in. So final version by noon. Okay. That way, guys, I can do the proper review, right? Everybody can get their review, okay? I really, some folks have, you've legitimately not been able to do things, and you've contacted me, and that's been fine. But, let's do this as a group. It's important to have your work there, and to sort of we need to do it all at once, right? It's really important, because every piece teaches all of us a lesson. So it's critical. So cool, by noon next week, right? Soft turn-in. You will get a second shot at this, but with the feedback, okay? All right, so the final version then is due August 7th, which is the Friday. And then let's say that you guys have until 6 p.m., right? I think that'll make a good difference. Okay, we'll say due by 6 p.m. Groovy, okay? And yeah, so right, we already discussed this briefly, but what you guys need to do is you'll choose a favorite movie of yours, and you'll post really a 2 to 3 sentence concept, right, explaining your choice and why you think it's a good. Well, yeah. Sorry, this has extra steps in here. I'll edit this here, but you will make a 2 to 3 sentence statement, right, with your soft turn-in, sort of explaining your concept. Okay, so I'll make sure that that's there as well. Sorry for the stop and start, but there's a couple of elements that are really important. Okay. Okay, so explaining your visual concept for the poster. Okay. Now, the minimal movie poster project is no longer accepting submissions, unfortunately. So we'll do this. But what I'm offering is that there are other websites out there that if you do a search like minimal movie poster, right? Like here, do a quick search, minimal movie poster upload. Let's see. Yeah, it's Know Your Meme. It's a good website. Let's see. I wonder if there's a, yeah, there's got to be, that's the Tumblr. Let's see, minimalist movie posters. Yeah, you could always post it on Redbubble and sell it. That's also something you can do. All right, so here's the deal. Here's the challenge, right? Not gonna cut your pancakes for you here. Go out, and if you find a website that you can upload to, okay, let me know about it. And if you put it up there and it gets accepted, you'll get extra credit. Cool. All right. I think that sounds pretty rad. But you should totally be publishing your stuff. It's really like awesome. All right. So as we mentioned, you're going to make an 11 by 17 artboard in Illustrator. Okay. Now your technique should include minimal illustrated imagery that communicates the essence of the movie. So you'll see in the video that I create, I did one for Edgar Allan Poe's The Pit and the Pendulum. And I made the sort of swinging knife, which is like a key thing from the movie. So yeah, it was a movie before, after it was a book, of course. I think Vincent Price is in it, the old horror actor. What we also want to do is create a tinted texture photo, right? So you can use Photoshop if you want to make textures. You can take a few photos and blend them together if you want a certain look and feel, and then bring that over into Illustrator. And then what you're meant to do is to tint them by using a blending mode. So what you'll do is you'll take, and the tutorial will explain in detail, is you'll take a texture and then you'll put a color box on top of it. That's really the first step. And then you'll use blending modes to tint the image, your texture in the background. So that's pretty cool. And then another part of minimalism is that you have to create a unique title treatment, okay? So that should communicate the critical characteristics of the movie, right? Now, what you don't want to use is existing typography, right? So Star Wars, nope, can't use the Star Wars font. You got to use an original font, okay? I would go sans serif, perhaps Gothic or grotesque, meaning tall and skinny. Fonts work really well with that. And then what you need to do, well, actually, let's, here, we're going to just mess with this here real quick. So we used to just have the title of the movie, a film by, and then the director's name. So just make sure a film by is put, well, just make sure that copy is there verbatim. Don't put the quotes, obviously. And then we want to have the 3 main stars, okay, of the film. So a little bit more copy going on here. In this project, I want to sort of challenge you to see what you can handle now as far as things go. So the one thing that you want to make sure that you do is create a type hierarchy, right? A type hierarchy is like the scale and the boldness. So like with our album cover, the type hierarchy basically was the name of the band was the biggest, it could be, and then the name of the song was smaller, and that was a hierarchy. Some people had it inverse, where the name of the song was really huge, and then the band was small. Either way, you just need to have a hierarchy. Now, generally, movie titles, poster titles, are the biggest on the page, followed by the director and then the stars. So, it's up to you how you want to work that out. But just, do some research. Look at movie posters and see how they rank visually, the hierarchy of information. That's really important, okay? And, just like before with the album cover, right, we have 2 audiences, right? Those who have seen the movie, those are insiders, and those who have not, outsiders, right? So it's like, oh, I've never seen that. So what we want to do is make sure that your imagery is broad enough to intrigue each audience to go see your movie. So the people who have seen the movie should go, oh, yeah, right? And then the people who have not should go, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what that means. That's a very sort of unique image. And that's really, an important thing. So The film is here, okay? The uploader is right here. Upload your final project posters here, so you'll just save for web out of Illustrator, okay? And make sure that that goes up on that forum. And then here you can go, we'll open this up in a new tab. Here is the minimal movie posters project, which you can see it stopped accepting submissions a year ago. Well, over a year ago, it was 2013. But yeah, there's some great examples here, as well as minimal movie poster. Yeah, just do a quick Google search and you'll see that there's like a ton of stuff out there, okay? So whatever movie you choose, please, right, I asked you to do that for today, is go look and see what's been done so far, okay? Notice some people use like pictograms, right? Some people use a custom illustration. It's really up to you, but it really should be minimal, right? Blank color fields, like that kind of stuff, is that like you really want to achieve that. And then note that like, you know, there is texture in the background, okay? So, you know, make sure that you want to include those different pieces in the space, right? So the texture, right? Like here's, this one's really good. Look at Rocky. They made Rocky look so scary, right? Yeah, super cool. All right, so here's somebody that you should totally know, right? So I think we talked a little bit about Saul Bass, okay? So this dude, man, he like totally did some of the greatest movie posters ever, right? Like, so look at some of these. You might not know all of them, but like this style is like so definitive, it's unbelievable. So like Vertigo, West Side Story, those are like really classic pieces. Let's see, The Man with the Golden, oh, he did The Shining. Right here, let's do Saul Bass posters. Oh yeah, really, really cool stuff. So here's Anatomy of a Murder, right? Like this was like really bold, really exciting for the time. This was in the 60s, so it was like, I think late 50s as well. But like he set a trend for American graphic design to sort of be, it's a little primitive, a little crude, a little rough, but like it achieves so much in so little. So this is Saul Bass. He is just like an amazing force of nature when it comes to graphic design. So, you know, it's important that you know his name, and it's important that you look at his stuff, because it's going to really sort of have like some great influence on you. Like, oh gosh, look at these Star Wars ones. These are just like killer good. And they're not even very complicated. I mean, they're visually, like there's a lot going on, but they're sort of simply achieved. So this is sort of on the border of minimalism and not. So I would just be careful with that sort of stuff. But, you know, have fun, like choose movies you love, and just, you know, go to town, like let it become your sort of artwork. You know, that's really what this is all about. But like we said, we want to make sure that we're communicating really well what's going on, right? Make sure that like we can get it, okay? If it's too minimal, then it's like, huh, what even is that, right? And if it's not, then it's like, oh, there's like too much going on. I feel like you could just do that and that would be it. So that's the thing, is that like keep it simple. You know, I'm gonna, when we come back next week and we take a look at these, I'm gonna sort of really try to go through the simplicity test and try to say like, is this simple enough, right? And then I'm going to look up your movie and look up other posters and stuff and try to like see, all right, well, what are you doing? You know, how are you comparing to others? Like that kind of thing. So, all right, so here's guys, like, you know, we don't need to see the math on this. We need to see the answer to the solution, or to the problem, right? Solution to the problem. So do the research on your own, break out your sketchbook, do sketches, right? Like do a ton of research on posters.tumblr.com. You know, look up your movie, watch the movie, you know, just study Saul Bass, like really try to get into that mode, okay? All right, so one more thing is back in the 60s, here's another piece of sort of getting to know, right? So we just learned about Saul Bass, right, being sort of the champion of minimalism and movie poster design. But in the 60s, Penguin publishers, you guys have maybe had a couple of Penguin books in high school. Like they did a lot of classics and that sort of stuff, but like they kind of went crazy and like did these really awesome, very groovy, very minimal, very sort of printmaker feel to book covers back in the day. So it's like, you know, you look at some of these and it's like, oh, these are really interesting solutions to to sort of complex things, right? It's like, think about how book covers influence the purchase of a book. This is back in the 60s, so it's like, there's not much, the graphic sort of literacy is interesting. It's not as as vast as it is today, I guess, to the average person, but like, the style was really groovy, sort of, it was mid-century modern. And, I mean, gosh, look at, his Pelican books in flight. Or sorry, not Penguin, Pelican. Yeah, Pelican Press. They just did a lot of really sort of funky things. So like, I didn't mean to say Penguin. It really is Pelican. Yeah. Here we go. Cool. So like, real simple. Helvetica, right? Like the title is sort of always in the top. Yeah. It's really cool, but they do a great job of trying to sort of use minimalism and imagery to really sort of explain maximally, what is going on with the concept, right? A book is a really deep and dense thing. So here's sort of a spoof that someone did of the different Harry Potter books, and you can sort of see, like, I'm sure many of you are Harry Potter fans, that like these all make great sense, right? And they do a great job of sort of explaining what's going on, but they're like so minimal in how they approach, what it is. So. Yeah, so take a look at this stuff. There's a lot of great sort of resources, but now you have sort of two references to work from, right? One is Saul Bass, and then the other one is this, right? Is Pelican and Penguin too. Penguin's going to also have some interesting stuff going on, right? So yeah, and a simple minimal movie poster search in Google is going to be where it's at for you guys. Okay, so guys, check out the tutorial, right? It's Lost and Taken is going to be your resource for getting textures, right? You'll see here straight away, I sort of used a gritty, grungy texture, and then I brought in a color piece to go on top, and I think that's going to work incredibly well. Also, for you guys, a resource. I don't think I necessarily need to go through it in a deep way, but I have this sort of very interesting color theory PowerPoint, which just has some really sort of fun stuff. So I thought, why don't we go through that quick? It's also here for you guys to check out when you'd like to. But minimalism relies on things in your piece to be really strong. So color has to be really strong. So let's just learn a little bit about color theory and its application. So, right, we know very much that color is a segment of light, right? And then our eyes are these wonderful light sensing devices that just absorb, all this visible radiation, right? That allows us to make sense of the world. So here is the famous Pink Floyd album cover. Oh, right. You can see that like a single beam of white light can be broken and fragmented into the spectrum, right? And then here is the visible light spectrum amidst other sort of wavelengths, particles, energy, and those sorts of things. And you can see it's very small compared to other things, right? So like infrared, if you ever like used an infrared camera or like had night vision or something like that, or played Nintendo Wii, you understand that infrared technology is really important. It's basically heat going on. That's pretty broad, right? When you think about how that works. Radar is pretty broad. X-ray is really broad. Or gamma rays will turn you into the Hulk. So yeah, it's just interesting to see it from a scientific sort of standpoint. And then here you can see that like these are the different sort of wavelength flows of color, right? And sort of how it works in space. So there's a lot of great science behind color. But when it comes to the use of color, that's not so easy, right? We can't sort of claim scientific stuff going on there. We can talk about things like illusions and the basic rules of color, but color is interesting. You got to feel it as well as sort of know how to use it. This is sort of a quick breakdown. You can see that there are really three levels of color, right? Primary, secondary, tertiary, right? Which mean first, second, and third. And they're different blends of each other as well as sort of the main stuff. But the primaries are really important, of course. And then the way that the colors interact with each other on a wheel is really important. So, right, you can see here's the second thing that deals with the hierarchy of colors, as we said, right? But then when you sort of create color combinations, that's when now you can start to play with the wheel and see how things work. And then, there are some artists out there who are just like crazy with color, right? You got Andy Warhol, right? You've got Matisse here with the Fauvist, his famous Fauvist work of the Japanese lady, and then Peter Max, right? And I think this is a self-portrait of his, who's like crazy with color. He's very expressive. This is all painting color. This is a little bit of ink, right? Because it's silk screened. But there are kinds of colors that we need to sort of understand. So the two that we really deal with are these two spectrums, RGB and CMYK. And they really inhabit two worlds. RGB is like the screen that we're looking at, or our phone or TV, right? Like anything that has a screen, right? The primaries there are red, green, blue. And the reason why is because screens are illuminated. So this is a positive color palette going towards white. So when they all mix together, they create white. And then CMYK is for the printer, right? So when we use ink. Now the reason is that ink is sort of a pigment, right? So when it blends together, it literally blends. So that color goes towards black. And that's the CMYK process. Notice that there's cyan, magenta, yellow, and it makes black itself, but there's also pure black. This black is actually sort of has undertones. That's in the center of this sort of lockup of three. But pure black is like carbon. It's like from volcanic ash. There's no real hue in it. It's just, hue is another word for color. It's just straight up black. Okay. Now notice one cool thing is that like in the blends of these different colors, they make the other spectrum. So in RGB, you see cyan, magenta, yellow. And then in CMYK, you see red, green, blue. Okay. So it's quite interesting that goes that way. Right? More magic, more mystery going on in there. And with CMYK, the important thing to understand is that like this is how things are printed, right? So when you go to your print shop and you go, if you have a CMYK print made, they're gonna like the file is broken up into different sections with like these halftone patterns, and when they overlay, they blend together and they create full color, right? Because it's blend, right? They're using different amounts of these different colors to create new colors, right? So that's really cool, and that's how the printing process really works. And you can see another example here. These are cyan, magenta, yellow, and black screens overlaying, and they'll, like we said, I can see there's a little bit of purple in there and different colors, green where the yellow and blue mix. So it really happens. But from far away, you won't ever see it, right? Because the dots are so small because it's high res, you don't ever notice that. So it's hard in the world of color to be accurate all the time. So there is a wonderful company called Pantone, which I'm sure you've heard of because they put out the color of the year every year. And the Pantone system, which is often referred to as PMS, which is Pantone Matching System. And you can get that code out of software as well as from their Pantone books, which you can see here's an image of the Pantone book right there. So you look through just like you're at Home Depot and you want to paint your room. But this is for printing, right? This is going to sort of show you what it looks like when you print stuff out. And then you can enter those colors on the computer, and then it's guaranteed to always be that color. You don't have to guess, okay, which is fantastic. Because whenever we guess, it just is bad. Yeah, I've had jobs where like I'm like, yeah, it's blue, and then it prints out purple, and it's like, yikes. So crazy. Okay, here's a little detail of the Pantone color chips, right? You can just see, right, it has this sort of 3 numbered. There's the U, which means uncoded. So there's different types of things that are there. And then, let's talk a little bit about some scales, right? You notice that Pantone book was sort of in like a chromatic scale, but like this is the Kobayashi color scale, and Kobayashi is just sort of a color theorist from Japan. Nippon Color and Design Research Institute. And what they've done is they've done a color, sort of color arrangement with 3 colors, right? 3 color schemes that are sort of connected to feelings, right? And more styles and things. So notice the words that sort of bring these together are more feeling words, and they're not sort of scientific words, which is quite interesting. And you can see that like it sort of does a blend from low saturation to sort of very rich saturation, where you've got pastels and then bolds and then more pures. So this is a very interesting way to sort of look at color. And here you can see like more words that are used to describe color, right? So like vivid, bright, pale, light grayish, dark, like these don't really mean anything as far as science is concerned, but they're descriptive words that sort of connect to color, as if we wanted to describe what stuff was, right? So it's like you can't just say green. There's like 100 greens, right? And they're all there's a reason they all are, because of the sliding scales of color. Now, Adobe, thank goodness for them, because they gave us this project called Cooler, or Colors, Kuler, which is actually built into your Illustrator. You can find it in the menu. Go to Window, Color, and what it is it's a very advanced color picker. But what's really cool is you can see here it says from a rule, and it makes these sort of 5 color schemes and gives you all the values, all this great stuff. It's super cool. Yeah, right here you can see that there's from a rule. They have analogous, monochromatic, triad, complementary, compound, shades, and custom. So you can create very balanced color schemes and then use them in your projects. So it's like you could just. And the other thing too is you can search. So if you typed in like here, let's give this a try real quick. Here, I'll pull it open. Oh, we don't want to open up another PowerPoint. Here we go. All right, Kuler. So Adobe, now it's color.adobe.com. Oh, wow. All right, so they've improved it. All right, this is really cool. So this is like way better than it used to be. But if you notice, right, like I can drag these things around and they stay harmonized, because these are analogous colors, right? Analogous colors are sort of all next to each other in a row. And then you can do monochromatic, right? A triad, which sort of goes around the whole scheme of things. Complementary colors, which go directly across. Right, compounds, which is sort of almost directly across, and then you've got these analogous. So compound is sort of a complementary plus analogous, and then shades, which is sort of just a monochromatic run through a single hue. So colors, COL. Yeah, we're gonna just pull this open here real quick. Boom. Oh, let me get it back. Where'd it go? Let's see. Kuler. This is so much fun. I'm so happy that they've improved this, because it's been a great piece of working technology for a long time. So all right, so I'm going to put this here, a link to it. I'll put it after the movie. Color. Call this Adobe Color Tool. Never have bad color again. Okay, and then we'll make the link active. Amazing. Cool. All right, so that's there for you guys, so you can check it out. It's a really, really good tool, because it really sort of teaches you, like, how to use color in an effective way. So let's look at a little bit of those rules real quick, so you can see, like, this is what monochromatic, triadic, analogous variation, complementary, split complementary sort of all look like, right? And you pull those colors out, and then you get a very interesting scheme. So, right, you can see how, like, these colors have a good balance and good harmony to them. So you want to operate in this same world. So if you guys are going to do something for your minimalist movie poster, like, try something that's monochromatic, for example, like, make your big color in the background purple, and then a lighter purple, and then a lighter purple, and a lighter purple, right? Like all the way up to like a lilac. And that would be beautiful, right? That would sort of be a good use of color. So it's important that you play with that, okay? You could go analogous, you could go triadic, but you can see these make Mardi Gras colors. They're very sort of bold and stark. These are a little more subtle, a little more, they sort of unify a little bit better. So those are examples of rules, right? Now, another thing that's important, you can talk about tinting, is here's the camera, the Hipstamatic. You may have had this on the iPhone back in the day. I think Instagram just destroyed this, but you can see that these are all the different sort of uses of filters and how they create different color effects. So tinting is a really interesting thing, and you guys know that because you've been working in Photoshop to create blending modes. But sometimes colors don't work well together. Right, so you can see here, this is when certain colors like just don't really work, right? So these are when colors go bad. Now this is important because this is for a company that prints barcodes and they scan them. So barcodes need good contrast in order to work, right? If you've ever used the self-checkout line at the Harris Teeter, you know that like you can scan that thing 100 times, and if it doesn't have good contrast, it's just not going to work. So these don't have great contrast. You can see like even on white, even on color, certain colors just don't work well. Like red, for example, doesn't sit well on a lot of colors. It's just hard. So these are ones to check out and sort of make sure that you avoid. And then here is from a sign company that's showing you color combinations. They sort of tested it all out for you. But these are color combinations that do have an adequate amount of contrast that like people would be able to see and distinguish the type from the background. So these are good to know, right? Like what works exactly. That's funny. They're saying here that like red on yellow was not good, perhaps for barcodes, but for the type, it seems to be just okay. So here, again, do's and don'ts, just for you to sort of see how contrast works and doesn't. And, one thing that's going on right here, this C is complement to this, what's close to that orange. And what it's doing is it's buzzing a little bit. And what I mean by buzzing is that it creates a little bit of like a black sort of vibration around the blue and the orange. What that's called is something called chromostereopsis. And all right, shield your eyes. This is chromostereopsis on crack. All right, so now you know what this is. This is chromostereopsis. Chromostereopsis is an effect that occurs in your eyes when certain colors sort of come together. And you can see red is one of those sort of problematic ones. Red and blue, they just eat each other. I just can't explain like what's going on. All right, so I'm going to take it away now and give you more illusions. So as well as other things with color, so chromostereopsis is something to avoid overall, but it can be used with special effect. So what you're seeing here is something called after image, right? So like you're looking in, and those dots in between the lines change color. They sometimes go black and white and black and white. And again, that's your eyes playing tricks on you. The human eye is a wonderful machine as far as being able to work with color. But it also has its shortcomings of what we can and cannot do. So really interesting thing, synesthesia. If you've ever heard of synesthesia, it's a sort of it's a disorder that people have. Some people actually have worked to acquire it. But what it means is that like you have this sort of crossing in your brain that creates a color association, a color, taste, and a sound with information like letters and numbers. So this is a synesthesia alphabet. So somebody who has synesthesia, the numbers actually sort of look this way, which is quite interesting. And again, artists try to like achieve this, but some people just naturally have it. So guys, that was just sort of a quick rundown on color theory, because that's an important part about what we got going on. So, think of your favorite movies, do the research, right? Pop onto the link here for the video, right? There's no need for me to go and make another video. It's here. It works really well. And you've got the Adobe Color tool, which works really well. And then the soft upload here, let's make sure that this is doing what it needs to do. Okay, so I'll say here, upload your soft turn in final project posters. Okay, and then what we'll do is we will make the week after another forum. This will be the final. Okay, so we'll say final minimal movie poster. And I'm going to say, be sure to include 2 to 3 sentence concept statement. Okay, so explain everything you do, right? Explain all of your visual choices. Okay, so make sure that you do that. That's important. All right, and then like we said, guys, this is our final project, 40% of our grade. Okay, so it's really important. All right, so make sure that you guys get all that stuff turned in. Okay, so guys, this was our sort of last kind of class where I wanted to show you stuff. So we got the color theory in there. We learned a little bit about Saul Bass in all efforts working towards our minimalist movie poster project, our final project, right? 40% of our grade, that's huge. So, you're on your own as far as jumping in there and making this solution happen. Just make sure, like I said, like get that 2 to 3 sentence explanation in there, so that way you can sort of bring the thinking into what it is that you've done visually, right? As a designer, you should always be on the ready to just explain what you've done visually, and the genius, the brilliance behind it, okay? And you know, think about that. If you're like, I have no idea, look cool, that's nice, but design is so much more than that. It's not really about just aesthetics, okay? Bad design can look great and mean nothing, right? That's the thing, is that like your piece has to be meaningful. It's gotta have a heart, it's gotta have a soul, and it's gotta mean something. So be thoughtful with what it is that you're doing, right? Like make connections. Make connections to the story, to lines in the movie, to feeling in the movie, you know, all that stuff like really matters. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing all the great stuff that you guys are going to be putting together. Like I said, next Tuesday, we're going to have the soft turn in. So please turn in a final solution of what it is that you think, ready for a critique and tweaks. Okay. And then that's it, guys, right? You've done the fundamentals of new media design. You've got sort of the basics of graphic design, the combination of type and image, right, in a space using a grid system, right? We worked on imagery, we worked on typography, we worked on color, we worked on creating basic imagery. You guys did some really cool stuff in the beginning of the semester. We've really been through quite a bit. So I think you guys have sort of a threshold to understand, like now when we go into different topics and other courses, you know, like what it takes, what I'm looking for when it comes to creating pieces like this. So guys, oh, I didn't put up my my title. Oh yeah, I'm falling behind here. Like I said, I need a TV crew to really help me out and get me through all this stuff. So hey, all right, there we are. Awesome. So guys, I'm Mike Worth. This has been class number 11. Okay, and yeah, I look forward to seeing your stuff next week. And have a great weekend. Okay, y'all enjoy. It's been fun. Bye.